Here is how are we going to connect to the database. JSPs connecting to the database. Okay. So let's see. We have seen how JDBC have been used in servlets. In the same way, we are going to see how are we going to um, uh, connect JSP to the database connection. Okay, JSP database connection, again it is trying to interfacing JSPs with the database using JDBC, that is Java database connectivity, which again serves as a crucial bridge enabling your JSP pages to interact with the database. Here it uses Java API that manages database connections via Java methods and SQL queries. This functionality is critically to creating dynamic web pages that create data storage, retrieval, and manipulation. Here, first is first step is to establish a database connection. Okay, establishing this database connection in Java in JSP is multi-step process. Again, it involves several key actions that has to be done. Each step is crucial for ensuring a secure and efficient connection to your database. Here's how it is goes. That is, first is in the same it goes as same how we have done in servlets also. In servlet, how we have done, first is establishing database. For establishing database connection, you have to import required packages. That is, begin by importing all the necessary Java SQL packages in your JSP page. These packages will be containing all the interfaces, classes that are required for database operations. So how are we going to um, how are we going to import required packages? The syntax will be differing here. Okay, so here we are not writing import and all. How we are going to write it is, see, this is the way how we have to make use of. That is, you at the rate, okay, page import java.sql.star. Okay, in servlets we used to write direct import in java.sql.star. Okay, here we need to write an, as it is JSP, we are using tags. Okay, loading the JDBC driver. Next step is loading the JDBC driver. So for loading JDBC drivers, these are specific to your database, so such as MySQL or Oracle, whatever database you are making use of. So load the driver. In your first step is establishing a connection. So after establishing the connection, here in within the try and catch blocks, we are trying to load the drivers. Class.furname com.sql.jdbc.driver and catch. If there is any exception, you can throw that exception and establish the connection. So use this use JDBC to establish a connection to your database. Provide the necessary credentials and connection URI to gain access. In the same way, where your database is residing, what is the username, passwords, those has to be given for establishing a connection. Driver manager dot get connection base, the same way connection con equals to null, that have given later in the try block. When the connection is given, when the connection is established, that is providing URL for your database and username and password for it. Add your database operations. Here you can add like inserting whatever statements you are going to put in, like what operations you want to put on database, those all could be included here. And catch. And finally, the connection has to be, if that is not null, then you need to close it. If it is null, then already it is closed. Okay, so in this way, SQL exceptions, any SQL exceptions have been thrown, then it has to be cached and handled. Creating the statements, as we know, those operations we were talking about, those were like creating, updating, those operations. Okay, so you're creating statements. This is a simple statements, no? So for that we will be making use of statement. These are two types we have seen. That is prepared statement and statement. So with the connection established, create SQL statements to interact with your database. This step involves preparing your SQL commands for execution. Statement equals to con dot create statement. Executing queries, we have execute query method. Okay, utilize these created statements for data retrieval, updates, or other SQL operations. We are going to store the values in the result set. We have seen no interface for that. We are storing in result set. Okay, and getting whatever we are storing from the table, select star from table. Okay, and the last step is to close all the resources, that is freeing up of the memory. Whatever we have opened, that is a database connection, statements, result set, all these are need to be closed. Okay, this practice will be helpful for preventing memory leaks and other issues. Okay, so at the end you need to close result set, statement close, and the connection has to be closed. And here is one example which shows you, demonstrates how to retrieve and display data from the user's data table. So importing the necessary libraries, then the title is database connection example. Initially those are all null. Then after establishing the connection, okay, we are trying to create a statement and execute the query that select star from the users. Okay, and process the result set. We are storing it in the result set, process the result set. Okay, and after all printing is done, then while result set dot next is null, till then whatever data is been there in the table, the all will be printed here, out dot println. Any exceptions it will be throwing here, SQL exception, class not found exception, SQL error, anything. Okay, at the end we are going to close the resources that we have used. That first is result set, next is statement, next is connection. Okay, so here you see example showing how to establish a database connection using JSP connecting with JDBC. Okay, so when you are creating dynamic web applications that will be interacting with the databases, this kind of programming we are going to see, which will be helping you to connect to the database. Later you need to close the resources properly, close the connections properly, maintain the efficiency and security of your application. Keep learning. Thank you all. All the very best for your exams.